Hey everybody, Jacob Letman here. Before we get started with today's video, if you're like me, if you've been hanging out at home, cooped up, watching a lot of Netflix, and you need to make some extra money, that's what I needed to do. I started looking around. I found this great thing called Survey Junkie. They pay you to fill out surveys, and I know a lot of those turn into scams. They don't work out, but Survey Junkie has been around for 10 years now. I use it personally. You can cash out your earnings from your surveys in the form of gift cards for like Amazon or Starbucks, even though a lot of people probably aren't going to Starbucks right now. Or you can cash out directly to your PayPal account in the form of cash and pay for things like your rent or food, so you can keep binge watching Netflix and have snacks on hand. Anyway, if you guys are interested, check out the link in the video description below for Survey Junkie. All right, let's get started with the video. Hey you guys, welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. Jacob Letman here. Big news. Okay, it's April 24th, it's a Friday, and it's looking like today President Trump is going to pass a bill into law which is going to provide more funds to both to the Small Business Association loans and grants that are available to small businesses to help them through everything that's going on with this pandemic. And so one of those is called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. There were not a lot of funds allocated to that. It's more of a grant. And boy, really, we kind of all dropped the ball. I didn't realize how good that was until it was too late and those funds were dried up. They dried up pretty quickly. Basically, if we would have been on board right at the beginning and filled that out, we could have been eligible for these loan grants, which is more a grant. Anything up to $10,000 was essentially a grant, and there was not a lot. You didn't have to put in a lot of information for those. You just needed like your gross income for 2019. That was basically it. And your business information, and they were pumping that money out pretty quick. So as you can imagine, a lot of people jumped on those. They were available for self-employed businesses, people, and it's looking like all of that money is just going to be gone because there's a lot of applications still in the pipeline waiting to get passed through for those money, and they're only allocating like I think another $17 billion to that, so I think that's kind of off the table. Another one is called the Paycheck Protection Program, also available to self-employed people. And why am I bringing this up? Because, well, at first I knew it was available, but there's a lot of stipulations that go into it. You got to provide a lot of information. There's hoops to jump through. There's a lot of people, a lot of small businesses applying. But the more I think about it, the better and better it sounds, and here's why. We're seeing how long it's taking for state unemployment insurance websites and agencies to get things updated for self-employed people to apply for pandemic unemployment assistance. And since that's taking so long, some states are on it and updated. I think like Massachusetts is one of them. Anyway, there's a few out there. California, April 28th. You'll be able to apply if you're there, so heads up on that. Be ready to do that. And but elsewhere, here in Arizona, they don't have a timeline, so that sucks. I don't know how long it's going to be before I can even apply. But anyway, so the Paycheck Protection Program are small business loans that are supposed to be, those funds are allocated to go towards keeping people on payroll, so paying salaries, which you yourself, you get a salary being self-employed. Now, being self-employed basically means that your business and your self-employed, your finances are all one and the same. That's kind of what it means. So, anyway, so we are eligible for these. And you can get advances, and it is a loan, but if you follow the guidelines correctly, it is forgiven. So essentially becomes a grant. And the pros of it are that if you qualify and you get accepted, you get a big chunk of money right away up front, right? So you can get 2 months worth of income up front in your pocket, which could end up, depending on your situation, how much you make, could end up being more advantageous and pay you better than waiting for pandemic unemployment assistance and that program to get going. So Here's the unfortunate thing, right? Again, it's Friday, April 24th. It should pass today, which I've read predictions. They predict within days that these funds could already be dried up. So there's not a lot of time to make a decision on this, and there's less time to get your information together for it. And so here's an article, right? This article that I'm sharing with you shares a lot of great information on what you need in order to apply, what kind of information, and also the guidelines that you need to follow in order to make sure that you can get that loan forgiven as a grant. So there's a lot of great stuff in this article, and basically it's talking about why a lot of people aren't getting passed through is because they're not prepared with their paperwork and they're submitting things incorrectly. And kind of the process that this goes through is you apply for this loan through a bank, and a lot of big banks, smaller banks are jumping on being a middleman for these funds essentially. So you apply for the loan through the banks. They in turn send those applications through to the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, which has those funds, and then they distribute them. That's kind of the process. So if you have your business account with a big bank, a lot of them have links that you can click on. I know Bank of America, Capital One, a lot of them. QuickBooks Self-Employed, they sent me an email today. You can apply directly through there, which is great if you use their application to keep track of all your stuff. Anyway, or you can just Google PPP loan application and find it that way. So how long do you have? Not very long. Probably today's the 24th. I would say maybe you want to have it done by the end of the weekend. I would say by the 26th. If you're going to do this, go this route, do it then. One thing you should know, forgot to mention, here's the deal. It's an either-or situation. You're either going to go for the PPP loan grant, or you're going to wait for pandemic unemployment assistance. You cannot do both. You can only do one or the other. So you can't double dip, right? Which makes sense because you're getting that loan to pay for your salary, basically, which is the same thing that the pandemic unemployment assistance would do. Now, the good thing about getting that chunk up front, right, is you have that money. Whereas with pandemic unemployment assistance, you're going to have to wait until it comes in. You get those benefits retroactively, meaning that you can get paid for the time that you weren't getting paid all the way back to February 2nd, which is good, but we also don't know when the economy is going to open up, when things are going to get back to normal, when we're going to be able to start working full-time again. And if that happens, right, and you can start working, you start making that money back, then essentially your unemployment insurance benefits are cut off at that point. So, whereas again, with the PPP loan, you get all that money, you have it in your account. So, these are things to think about. Okay, what else do we have? So, some of the information. So, read through this article. A lot of great information. But the biggest thing is you have to be spot on with all the information you provide, right? This is a business loan, so it's not like you can't fudge it. The numbers have to be right. You're going to need your business information, which your business name is your name if you're self-employed, if that's the only thing that you do, right? Your contact info, you're going to need your tax info for 2019. Doesn't mean that you needed to submit it yet, but you have to have your tax information. Let's see. And they prefer for the past 2 years as well. But it kind of depends how long you've been a self-employed business for. Payroll reports, utility documentation, proof that your business is in good standing, and then how the sickness and everything that happened with the pandemic impacted your business and how you lost funds due to that, essentially. So those are the big things, but you need to make sure that you tracked all your income correctly, that you tracked your expenses, all of that stuff. It needs to be put together well. You're going to have to provide that at the time of your application if you do decide to go forward with this. But if you need money in a pinch, honestly, I think it's a viable option. If you need the money now and you don't want to wait, you're in a state that you don't know how long it's going to be before they get things updated with pandemic unemployment assistance, and being able to apply for that even, then definitely look into it. If you have more questions on this, jump down in the comment section below. Get at me. I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what the program is and how it can be beneficial to self-employed drivers. Questions, comments, concerned? I'm Jacob Letman. Hit me up. This is the Rideshare Hub. Until the next time, you guys, stay safe out there.